Welcome to the Bring Your Product Idea to Life podcast. This is the podcast for you if you're getting started selling products or if you'd like to create your own product to sell. I'm Vicky Weinberg, a product creation coach and Amazon expert. Every week, I share friendly, practical advice as well as inspirational stories from small businesses. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to another bonus Amazon Made Easy episode. So today I want to talk about something we haven't actually covered for quite a while on the podcast, which I can't quite believe. It's something I feel like I used to talk about all the time, which is my own story of selling my products on Amazon. Now, I have done an episode in Bring Your Product Idea to Life before, talking in real detail about how and why I created my first product. So I'm not going to go into masses of detail here because you can go and listen to that episode if you'd like to know more about how I got started. So I'm going to give you the brief version. But then the thing I thought you might find really interesting is I've sort of been doing a bit of reflection based on my own story, time I spent as an Amazon seller, and obviously where it's led me to now. I was thinking back and thinking, okay, what were some of the things that I did really well when I was selling on Amazon? And what are some of the things that I could have done better that maybe you can all learn from? So hopefully you will find this interesting. As I said, I've been doing a bit of reflection and I think it's quite interesting, and hopefully you will too, because when I look back, there are actually some surprising things that I've found out, and I think it serves me really well when I work with clients now. So I started selling on Amazon I can't remember the year, it was 8 or 9 years ago. I had one product, so a single SKU. I also had a Shopify store, but I knew that I always wanted to sell on Amazon. So the story briefly is that I was listening to a podcast about people who were selling yoga products on Amazon, and the podcast really sold it to me, the benefits of having an online business and not having to trade time for money, and all of that. And I was like, oh, this sounds really good. So I always knew I wanted to sell my product on Amazon, but I did also know that I needed my own website as well. And actually, that is one of the things that I did do right. So I did have a website as well as selling on Amazon, and I think that was a really good call. I'm very glad that I did that. So I sold baby products. And my first product was a box of 4 bamboo baby swaddles. They were really high quality. They were 100% bamboo. They had no chemicals, not even in the dyes. They came in a lovely gift box. I think they were really great. They were unisex. They were massive. They were designed to last a long time. I think they were a really, really good product. And that is the first product that I had. So that was the first product I listed on Amazon, but that was quickly followed by some other products. So I also had baby towels, baby bowls and plates, and bowls and towels, baby bowls and spoons, and plates and spoons. And they all came in a variety of colours. There were lots of colour variations. I ended up, I think, with around 20 SKUs in the end. I had quite a lot, and they all ended up on Amazon. I'm going to say now, I'm really proud of all my products. I think the products themselves were great. It's one of actually the things I'm most proud of doing. If you want to hear why I stopped doing it, that's another episode as well, so I won't go into that now. But let's talk a little bit more about Amazon. So as I said, Amazon was always in the plan. I started with one product, but I did know, and something that I'd heard was that when you add subsequent products to Amazon, it can help with sales of your original products, and having a range can actually be a really good thing. And that did turn out to be the case for me. And I was selling on Amazon for a really long time. I think it was 4 or 5 years in total until I stopped. And I did really well over that time. And I'm going to go through some of the reasons I think I did and some things you may find useful to know. So the first thing is, as I said, I had my own website. So I sort of set up my website before I was on Amazon. I think that's really good. I think having somewhere where customers can go find out more about you and your brand is always really good. And also I did lots of research before I created my product and before I listed on Amazon. I guess I kind of did this in tandem because I always knew that I wanted to sell on Amazon. A lot of my research into other products was on Amazon. So I looked to see who else was selling similar products, what were they selling them for, what were the features. I read the reviews, I found out what customers liked about them, what they didn't like about them. I looked at the price, I looked at absolutely everything. And so by the time I came to list my products on Amazon, I had a really good idea of where my product fit price-wise, how I wanted to pitch it, what my USP was. And I have to say, I think I had a really good product listing. I had really good text. I had some great images. I had lots of lifestyle images. So as I said, I had baby products. So I remember doing something on my local Facebook group, looking for people with babies and then toddlers for some of the other products to model the products. My own daughter modeled them. So I had loads of lifestyle shots of all of the products, which I had taken, which was really good. I also had a video. So I had a video talking about the brand and the story. I also had some product videos that my daughter was in showing how to use the different products. And I even had some A+ content. Funnily enough, the other day I found one of my old product listings on Amazon. I've got no idea how it's still on there, and it's only for one of my products. For some reason, all the bullet points have disappeared, but you can still see the titles there and the A+ content was there. This was such a long time ago. I'm amazed that A+ content was a thing, but it was. And this was before the days you could have comparison tables on the bottom of A+ content. And if I haven't spoken about this before, I love comparison tables because you can show all the products in your range. If you have a range, I often see people use them to show the different colours. So they might have so for example, I was selling bowls, plates, towels and swaddles. And I do see a lot of examples where someone will use the comparison table on the bottom of their listing for their bamboo bowls as an example to show all the different colours, but you don't need to do that. They're at the top. So what I would suggest doing if you're selling bamboo bowls and you have the whole other range of products, is in the comparison table, have those other products, particularly if they're complementary products. I think that's such a good idea to encourage cross-selling because not everyone will go to your store, not everyone will know that you have a store. A store is good, but they're on that product page already. So having a comparison table in your A+ content is great. Funnily enough, like I said, when I was doing this, you couldn't even have comparison tables. It wasn't a thing in A+ content. It was really, really basic. But I have got a section at the bottom where I say, here are my other products. And I've got like a picture of each of them and a little bit of text. It doesn't link through to them or anything like that. It was way too early. Actually, I looked at it and I thought, wow, this is really basic. But it was, at the time, when A+ content was introduced, I was like, great, this is great. And I think jumping on and using it was something I did really well, and I still stand by that. So yeah, I think that was really useful. Also looking back at my old text, so as I say, the listing that I had on Amazon, mostly we can't see anymore, but I have got all my product listing text, and I was having a look through that as well, and I was thinking, I actually think I did a really good job on that, which isn't a massive surprise because for anyone who doesn't know, I do come from a communications background. I've got some copywriting experience. I do know how to write copy. But something I was particularly impressed with when I look at my old Amazon product listings is how well I explained why to buy. I think I actually had something in there that said, why buy this bamboo baby towel, whatever it is. And then I told the customer why. I literally did it that blatantly. I don't know if that's the way you do it now or not, but actually I think it was really good because I was really confident in what made my product different, what made it at the time the best product around. It won't be now, of course, because plenty of others have come along. But at the time, it was the biggest, it was the thickest, it was the softest bamboo baby towel you could buy. And I tell people that, and I wasn't afraid of telling people that. And I actually think that's a really good thing to do. And I also shared the USP of the brand really well. When I look through all of my old product listing text, it's really clear what the values of the brand were. So I was wanting to create products that were unisex and also lasted beyond that baby stage. So my products for the towels and swaddles were all really big. They could be used for other things. So for example, when my daughter grew out of the swaddles, she was able to use them as a sheet on her bed in the summer. The towel, interestingly, she's nearly 9. She still can use those towels. She doesn't very often because they're towels for small children, but she could actually it's still viable as a towel. It's still It really is that big. And the bowls and the plates deliberately had no branding on the side or anywhere visible, just a little bit of branding on the base, so that once you didn't need the suction element anymore, you could still use them. And actually, we still use my Tiny Chipmunk bamboo bowls because they are beautiful bowls and they're still lasting. And that was a big point of the brand. And we got that across really well in the product listing. I also did lots and lots of testing. So I ran ads and I got really good at how to do ads. I did A/B testing of main product images to see which one would encourage like the most click-throughs. I tweaked titles. I was often sort of doing things. I would also change things based on what I could find out. So, for example, quite early on, I realised that Amazon was damaging a lot of my products when they were delivering them to customers. And it was because the box wasn't quite sturdy enough, which obviously I had no idea about until this happened. Because, I mean, you've probably had delivery from Amazon and you might have seen sometimes the state in which they're left. I didn't realise they'd be thrown about quite so much. My boxes weren't that sturdy. And then in my reviews, people were saying the product arrived and the box was damaged. But that was great because I was constantly reviewing things and I was in my reviews. I could see what people were saying. That was something I was able to fix. And then also I was able to tweak my text to mention the fact that we had this new box as well. So I didn't want to put people off buying again if they bought previously and the product has come damaged. I wanted to let them know that I'd addressed that and the box was better. So that was all in my listings. I corresponded with customers as well. So back in those days, and unfortunately you can't do this now, is I had auto emails set up. So when when the product was delivered, people would get an autoresponder email from me a couple of days later, asking them to leave a review, giving them some tips on how to use the product. And the important thing was whenever somebody asked for a return, which luckily wasn't that often, they would get an email from me saying, "Oh, I'm really sorry you want to return this. Is there anything I can do to help?" And actually, that is something that prevented a lot of poor reviews because I was able to speak to customers and they were able to tell me what was wrong and I could often address it, which would mean they wouldn't leave me a bad review because I'd already had better fixed whatever was wrong. Unfortunately, as I say, this isn't something you can do now, but something I did that you can still do is I had something in my packaging that get customers over to my website. So I had a little insert came in the packaging that said, "Thanks for ordering. If you want 10% off your next order, go to this website," and there was a little code. That was a really, really good way of getting customers over to my Shopify store. And as I say, I think having the Shopify store as well as Amazon was really beneficial. It meant I could start building an email list. So when new products were released, obviously, yes, they went onto Amazon, but obviously they were on Shopify as well. It meant that I could tell people, what I was doing. I could talk to them about new products. If I was running a sale, whether that was on Amazon or my website, I could let people know about it. So I think that was really beneficial. And you can still put product inserts inside your product packaging if you want to. And actually, something I've seen that people do, and I get this a lot, as a customer when I buy on Amazon, is also I sometimes get a little QR code to leave a review because, as we all know, getting reviews on Amazon is super, super hard. I can't promise that leaving a code asking people to give you a review is going to get you more reviews, but then it's hard, right? We all need to do what we can. And the other thing that I did that I think was really good, two more things actually related to inventory. So I actually started using Amazon to fulfill my Shopify orders, which, while it cost me a little bit more money, it meant that I didn't have to go to the post office anymore because I absolutely hated doing that. And one of the reasons I used Amazon FBA was so I didn't have to do that. Although this does lead me to something that I would change, which we'll come to in a moment. And the final thing I think I did really well is I was on top of it enough that I had a really good understanding of which colours sold best, particularly in the bowls and plates, which came in, I think, 7 colours each. So that meant that when it came to reordering, I had a really good idea of which colours to order more of, which colours to order less of. And again, when I was sending stock into Amazon, I had an idea of, how many of each to send in at each time as well. So that's the things I think I was doing really well. Hopefully you find interesting. And now I'm going to talk about the things I did not so well. So I mentioned that I got really good at knowing how many of each product to send into Amazon. That is true, but that is not what I did initially. with my very first product, which was my Swaddles, I sent, I want to say it was 500 boxes. It was a lot of boxes into Amazon FBA in one go. That wasn't my best call because that is a lot of boxes. And as a brand new product, bearing in mind that Amazon, getting started on Amazon back then was easier than it is now. But still, that's still a lot of boxes. And it took me quite a long time for them to sell. And that was quite stressful. And also, it meant that all of my stock was tied up in one place. So if I wanted to go and do a fair or a stall, so I did that back then, do a few like market stalls or events for new mums, I literally had all my stock tied up in Amazon. So if I needed some to do a marketplace or something, I then had to recall however many units back. I did start actually doing this by going onto the site as a customer and ordering them and paying for them and then which is possible, and it's a bit cheaper to get them sent to you that way, but still not ideal. So I absolutely should not have sent all of my stock in. And as you can probably tell, as time went on, I learned that wasn't the best idea. I ended up having some stock here. Even though I was still using Amazon to fulfill my website orders, I still had plenty of stock at home as well. So if I went to do a stall or a fete, or I wanted to, or sometimes a friend would want to buy off me, or someone local. So if someone local to where I live bought off me, I would often deliver rather than post because it was a bit cheaper. So that was an option. So yeah, not sending all of my stock in was a good call. So that's my first thing, is that if you do have lots of stock and you can avoid sending it all into Amazon, please do so. In the episode last week, we spoke about excess inventory and what happens if you have too much inventory in an Amazon fulfillment center, and hopefully that's been enough to put you off as well. The next thing that I did that I regret is I didn't sync Shopify and Amazon. So there are lots of apps out there, and Shopify integrations, I think they're called, where you can link up Amazon and Shopify, so that when you get an order on Shopify, if you want to fulfill it from your Amazon stock, you can do that and it happens automatically. I did not do that. I didn't even consider doing that, which meant that every time I got a website order, I was manually going to Amazon and typing out the details and getting it sent. I also, on that, did not tell my customers to expect the order to come in Amazon packaging. So when I first started out, I was fulfilling orders myself until I got Amazon up and running. So I was using my own like plain postage boxes. But then when I got up and running on Amazon, I was fulfilling everything from my Amazon FBA stock, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, but some customers were confused at why their orders from my website were turning up in an Amazon box. I easily could have got around this by telling people about it. And as I say, if I had synced up the platforms, every order I got on my website would have gone through to Amazon. They would have picked it and dispatched it automatically without me doing anything at all. And that would have been a much simpler process. So yeah, another thing I think I could have done better. And the final thing I think I could have done better is I was selling in the EU, and I should say this was before Brexit. So after I started doing really well in the UK, I was like, well, this is really good. I'm going to sell in the EU now as well. So I started listing my products in France, in Germany, and Spain. I think it was only France, Germany, Spain, and Italy at that time. But I just went and did it. I literally can't believe that now that I did this. I just went and did it and didn't think or didn't know that there would be financial VAT implications. And the bottom line is I ended up owing VAT payments in lots of different marketplaces. I had no idea how to calculate it. I had no idea what to do. I had to find someone who specialised in this and pay them to sort it all out for me. I then had to make the payments. All of this was really stressful. I remember getting letters in German from the German tax people all the time telling me I owed them money. It was really stressful. Shouldn't have done it. Absolutely shouldn't have done it. I think if I was going to sell in Europe today, I would be looking into all of the implications much sooner. So I know, you can do all of it. You can absolutely sell anywhere, but you just need to know what that means for you from a tax and VAT perspective, because even if you are not liable for VAT in the UK, you might be in Germany or France, especially if you're storing your stock there. And even if that stock is stored in an Amazon fulfillment center, it's still your stock and you are storing it in that country, and there will be implications. So I'm not saying this to scare you, but just if that's something you're thinking about, obviously look into it much better than I did. So that is all. So that is my hopefully fairly brief run through of my time selling on Amazon and the things that I thought you might find useful. So things to do and definitely some things not to do. I'd love to know what you think of this episode. If you have any questions, you can get in touch. It's vicky@vickyweinberg.com, and I will be back on Tuesday next week. I'm going to talk all about Amazon advertising, so that'll be a great episode. And of course, we have another interview this Friday and every other Friday. So have an amazing week, and I will speak to you very soon. Thank you so much for listening right to the end of this episode. Do remember that you can get the full back catalogue and lots of free resources on my website, vickyweinberg.com. Please do remember to rate and review this episode if you've enjoyed it, and also share it with a friend who you think might find it useful. Thank you again, and see you next week. Hi, this is just a little note. So if you've enjoyed this episode, or indeed any of the episodes, and you would like to, I don't know, buy me a coffee or something, you can actually now leave tips. So there's a link to how to do this in the show note. Of course, do not feel obliged to do this. This is a free podcast. This will always be a free podcast. But as I say, if you want to buy me a coffee, you can do that via the link in the show notes.